Never work for money. I don't know if you've heard that phrase before, but I think it's a very wonderful statement, but we need to understand it also in a spiritual sense. We're not talking about money today. We're talking about treasure. Many people today are very worried about their money. And my wife woke up this morning telling me that there's kind of a panic in the world about money right now. Well, where is our treasure? Our treasure, as it says here, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. If we begin this study and look at the context of what Jesus said here in Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 through 21, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break in or through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. This is talking about not so much money, but about values. Values come from different places, but primarily they come from our worldview. So, what is our worldview? If you live in the East or if you live in China and other places in the Far East, they have different values. We have values here in the West also. It used to be many years ago that the values were God, country, and family. Those were the primary values that people spoke of here in the West. But because the Bible goes against nature, our human nature, many people have been giving up the Bible. They don't like the Bible. They don't like the values that the Bible presents. And so they have turned to following their own wills and likes and preferences, their human preferences. And we're suffering the results of that. Today, if you ask people what do they value, the number one concern is money, at least in America. It used to be 30 or 40 years ago, it was God, country, and family. I remember seeing on the back of um, a pickup, it was that that very slogan. And on another one I saw, um, it was kind of funny. It was my wife, yes, my dog, maybe, but my gun, never. So the Second Amendment in the United States is the freedom to bear arms. The first uh, freedom is the freedom of speech. So people, when they made the Constitution of the United States, they made freedom of speech and the freedom of religion as a very high priority. That's what they valued. And another car had a bumper sticker that said, "My my gun is on the back seat right next to my." Um, I think it was his uh, German Shepherd. So uh, that was a statement that was going through the United States some years ago. And today they're trying to return to values. I'm sorry about this. Coming to us, and this reminds us today that people are have a value of they want to make sure that to answer the phone is of high value. And so what do we do with these things? We have to answer the phone. No, we don't. We don't have to answer the phone. Doesn't matter who it is. So we have to have a value. If we're in prayer or we're in a study, we need to be careful with these things that we have a value that is based upon proper things. So what do you value? And the reason that values are important is because what we treasure, what we value, determines what we believe. Now, you might think it's the other way around, and it is to some degree so, but people believe what they want to believe. Where do we get our values? Well, we get them mostly from our parents. because a child is born into this world and it sees what it sees, and it believes that what it sees is real, that is the reality. So we have today a need to prioritize, what we value. As we think about this, I don't know what you're thinking, but I've been thinking a lot about it. And how do we determine what is important? We have our families, we have our loved ones, we have our what we own. What do we really value? There's a statement in Psalms 119, verse 72. It says, "The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver." What does it say? The laws of thy mouth. It's talking about God here. The laws of God's mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. Some people take this very same idea and they place it not on God, but on what others think and what others believe. Some believe that relationships are the most important thing. And so if you have a right relationship with someone, or you have a relationship with someone, you don't want to break that relationship for any reason. And if you look in the East, among many peoples, especially Arab countries, relationships are more important than the truth. They would rather tell you what you want to hear than to offend you. Whereas perhaps in China, the value of hospitality is one of the highest values. You would never want to reject a visit from someone. You would never want to offend somebody by saying, no, you can't come over. So respecting your elders is also a very high value in some countries. Some countries go so far to respect their elders even after they're dead, and that opens up a world of spiritualistic influences. So people value different things, and if what they value is challenged, then there is a problem. They can't deal with it. And so we need to look at what we value and why we value it. Some people value the truth. How important is the truth? The truth is very important. There is a statement that says, "It is an absolute truth recognized by many, even in this age of passion for money getting, competition, and sharp, unscrupulous dealing, that integrity, diligence, and temperance, purity, and thrift constitute a better capital than any amount of money." So here's a statement that's saying that there are other things in some cultures that are important, more important than money. And someone would say, even more important than truth. You know, if you think of some countries, the way you say things is more important than what you say. So if you say things in the right way, if you have a nice way to express something, that's the important thing. Or if you honor the language and you present things in good language, anything else is acceptable. And that, I've seen that. Some people believe that saving, if people who know how to save, that's important. Others say order. Order is the most important thing. It is true. It's the first law of the universe for success. But is order the most important thing? We say, of course, God is the most important thing. Yes, but what do we really mean by that? Few appreciate the knowledge of the Bible today as they should, as the source of the principle upon which we all depend. So the truth seems to be very important. And Jesus said in John 8, verse 31, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. I remember hearing someone talking about peace. Now, if you go to India, uh, peace is the most important thing because they have so many different ideas, so many different castes, so many different people living in different levels. And to make peace among them all, peace is a very big thing in India. In America, it's freedom. But is freedom really the most important thing? That which lies at the foundation of business is integrity more than freedom. Freedom is important for business to prosper, and that freedom has been of a high value here in America. And if you look at what people would say about comparing peace and freedom, if you would ask an American which is more important, peace or freedom, or if there's anything more important than peace, he would probably say freedom. And I've heard them say that. But there is an important relationship here too with God and representing or respecting other people's property. And we have those property rights in America. So recognizing God's ownership is very important. He is the creator of all things. He is the originator of everything. He is the proprietor, actually, of all that we have. What's a proprietor? A proprietor is the one who actually owns everything. He is the creator of all things. He is the originator of our lives, even of the breath we live by. And we are only stewards. So do you value your stewardship as you should? All that we have is in trust from him to be used according to his direction. So we have an obligation. Now, how do we fulfill those obligations? How do we prioritize our lives and the things that God has given us? We have a test that rests upon us as human beings. The whole sphere of our activity is under the direction of God. And it is so whether we recognize it or not. We are stewards, supplied with certain talents, faculties, and a place in a certain place in the world to do an appointed work for God. Do we value the privilege that God has given us as stewards of his lended gifts? We have a work to do. And we're not asked to do what we cannot do. We're asked to take care of what we can do. Do we value the opportunities we have? Are we here to please ourselves, or do we realize how important it is to set our values, our priorities aright? God has called us and given us a privilege to live today. And what are we going to do with that privilege? So we value our freedom. We value the truth because the truth, it says, shall make us free. I'd like to propose, and you can think about this, what do you value? And that we should never work for money, but that we should work to fulfill the divine purpose for which God has created us. We have faith, and if we reread at different places in the Bible about the importance of faith, faith is our very necessary element in our lives because through faith we overcome the devil. And Jesus said, we've quoted already, you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. But what is our faith in? Is what our faith in more important than faith itself? Yes and no. If our faith is in the grace of God, think about that. If we value the grace that God has given us, And how do we show that we value the grace that we have? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Is faith the ultimate priority or the ultimate value? I'd like to propose that it is very, very important. And that's what Satan wants to steal from us. But what is a very valuable to us is the love and the grace of God. That, I believe, and I'd like to present today as the ultimate thing we should treasure. We shouldn't treasure our treasure. I hope you understand what I'm saying by that. We should treasure our treasure, but that's not the ultimate treasure. The ultimate treasure we have, the ultimate thing of value we have, which God has poured out in Jesus Christ, is the grace of God. And we should realize that. I hope that this little talk this morning will help you and help me too to value the great gift that God has given us, and that we will respond in kind by being instruments through which that gift can flow out to others. May God be glorified as we treasure the greatest gift of all, the greatest thing of value of all, the pearl of great price, the treasure in the field, and that is the love of God. May God bless you with these thoughts this morning is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.